Hi, my name is BC Hoffman, and we're on our third dish of our 5-course Blowtorch Food Deconstructed Special. And right now we're about to make our seared seafood ceviche. I've got 1/4 cup of passion fruit juice. I'm just gonna pour that into a bigger bowl. Then I've got a grapefruit. So what I did was I took just a few segments of my grapefruit and I have those on the side. Those we're gonna actually brulee with the torch. And the rest I juiced, and I'm just gonna throw that in. I would say it's another, I'd say 1/4 cup of grapefruit juice that you're putting in there. Then I have 2 teaspoons of soy sauce, unsalted, salted, whichever way you wanna go with that. Throw that over there. 2 teaspoons of rice wine vinegar. And then I have 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Throw that in. And that's gonna help coat your seafood. And then I have 3 tablespoons of fresh lime juice. Now, if your lime is juicy, from each half of the lime you get, should be 1 tablespoon if you squeeze it in of lime juice. So we're gonna just squeeze 3 halves of these limes in there. You are cooking the seafood using the citric acid from the actual fruit. So it is gonna be a different process of cooking than we're used to, in the sense that you're like, oh, but it's still raw. Not really, it is pretty much cooked. But we're gonna be doing it so quickly that it's not gonna cook it. So the beautiful thing is, we're gonna cook it a little bit, just a touch. We're gonna sear it with our torch. So I've got my marinade right there. I'm gonna just add a pinch of pepper, let's say about 1 teaspoon of pepper, teaspoon of salt, and I would say about 2 teaspoons of sugar. Give that a quick whisk. What I also have going here, got some cilantro, and I'm gonna give that a quick chop. Again, I'm gonna discard the actual stems of the cilantro and just use the leaves. So this, I would say, let's use, we're gonna move a couple of them to the side and reserve those for later. The rest, we're gonna give a nice chop to. So let's actually throw that into our marinade real quick. Just drop it right in there. So you're gonna put a couple pieces of your ginger and a couple pieces of your garlic into the marinade. I still have mango. Now the mango and the grapefruit we're gonna brulee. So let's get these on 1 sheet pan. So I've got a couple segments of grapefruit. And just line those bad boys up. So I've got my mango. I'm just gonna scoop my mango right out using just a regular spoon. Very easy, just like that. And I'm gonna do this on a slight bias. And we're gonna basically be cutting everything on a bias today for this dish. From our seafood, being our lobster, and our snapper, we are using snapper. I'm gonna throw just a little bit of sugar on each piece of fruit and a little bit of salt. Okay, so I'm just finishing up now with bruleeing my grapefruit and my mango. And I love the way that this is gonna look right here. It's gonna have a nice contrast with that lobster and that snapper. And I'm ready now to cut up my lobster and my snapper. Now, get a nice fillet of your snapper right here. You're gonna throw that right down. And again, like I said with the mango earlier, we're gonna cut this on a bias. So you're gonna get nice thin slices. And just go at an angle and kind of go down with it. And you don't want to really saw with it. I would say if you have at home a boning knife or a fillet knife, totally use that. Yeah, just do a nice one-time cut right down. You'll have nice slices like that that aren't too thick, but definitely are not thin. and it's just gonna look really nice on the plate. You could totally do this as an entire bowl full and just serve the bowl. I would then cut it up smaller pieces, almost bite-sized pieces. But this we're gonna just kind of serve very nicely. Again, give that a quick mix. Drop that right on in. And I've got my lobster tail. Now, by all means, if you want to use langostinos, if you want to use shrimp, you can use whatever you want at home. I like using a lobster tail or using a nice Maine lobster claws. So what you're going to do is you're going to go for this end of the lobster and you're going to cut it right down the middle, guys. So, yeah. Who's the boss? Okay, this guy's not listening to me. Apparently he's the boss on this one. Look, Tony Danza. And we're just gonna pop that out of its shell. We're just gonna pop that right out of its shell. Now sometimes it might play a little harder to get, in which case you kind of just gotta wiggle it a little bit. I've got my lobster. I'm gonna just do, again, thin slices, but not too thin, about an 8-inch thick on a bias. It's very delicate, so be very gentle to it. So I'm ready to go and toss this also into my marinade. I've just been marinating my snapper and my lobster for, I'd say, about 90 seconds now, and I'm ready to start plating. But before I plate it, I'm gonna give most of this a quick 1-2 torch. Any longer and it's gonna start to get tough, which is fine if I was just doing ceviche, but since I am gonna touch it up with the torch, I wanna give it a quick go ahead. So before we actually start torching, we're actually gonna hold this higher because we actually wanna just lightly touch the seafood with it, give it a nice flavor. Get that gas on, and press that button. Johnny Blaze, torch on, flame on. Okay, so I just lightly torched my snapper and my lobster, and now I'm gonna plate these bad boys up as well. Again, use your offset spatula because these are very, very delicate. So we're literally just gonna put these right over top of our mango and grapefruit. So I've just plated my lobster on top of my snapper, on top of my grapefruit, on top of my mango, all of which has been lightly torched. And now I'm just putting the finishing touches on. And now I'm moving on to doing the very last, which is I'm literally just gonna take a quick spoonful of the marinade, drizzle it right on top. So now let's taste our torched ceviche, shall we? I'm gonna actually get each piece individually because I just love the way that this is gonna go by itself. I know they blend really well together, but on an individual basis, I'm curious. Yeah. The lobster really pulls a lot of that grapefruit juice in because of the high sugars that the lobster already has. And the snapper actually has a lot of that passion fruit juice in there. So each taste is really unique. And then the mango, yeah, the mango and the grapefruit are just a nice addition. The grapefruit is just so clean and fresh. I mean, it just goes with the entire dish. I mean, this entire dish is just a clean, fresh, wonderful take on a classic ceviche. Except we're torching it because why not? My name is BC Hoffman. This has been Food Deconstructed with Blowtorch Ceviche. Let's move on to dish number 4. We're going for the gusto right now. We're going for a little steak, peppercorn, crusted action, and we're gonna torch that bad boy to deliciousness.